Every year, 9 million children die before their 5th birthday. A woman in sub-Saharan Africa has a 1 gene 30 chance of dying while giving birth. The developed world, the chance is 1 in 5,600. There are at least 25 countries, most of them in sub-Saharan Africa. Africa, where the average person is expected to live with no methanol for 55 years. In India alone, more than 50 middle school-going children cannot read a very simple text. 2. This is the kind of paragraph that might you want to shut this book in ideally and forget about this whole business of world poverty. The problem seems too big, too intractable. Our goal with this book is to persuade you not to. A recent experience at the University of Vanya illustrates well how easily we can feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem. Researchers gave students S5 to fill out a short survey. They then showed them a fever and asked them to donate to Save the Children, one of the world's leading charities. There were 2 different layers. Some randomly selected students were shown this. Food shortages in Malawi are affecting more than 3 million children. In Zambia, severe rainfall deficits have resulted in a 42% drop in maize production from 2000. As a result, an estimated 3 million Zambians face hunger. 4 million Angolans, 1/3 of the population, have been forced to flee their homes. More than 11 million people in Ethiopia needs immediate food assistance. Other students were shown a flyer featuring a picture of a young girl and these words: Rokia, a 7-year-old girl from Mali, Africa, is desperately poor and faces a threat of severe hunger or even reason. Her life will be changed for the better as a result of your financial gift. With your support and the support of other caring sponsors, SaveTheChildren will work with Rokia's family and other menus of the community to help teed her, provide that with education, as well as basic medical care. Hygiene education. The second flyer, in which the plight of millions became in the trust foyer, raised in $1.16 from each student. The plight of one raised $2.83. The students, it seems, were willing to take some responsibility for helping Rokia, but when faced with the scale of the global problem, they felt discouraged. Some other students, also chosen at random, were shown the same 2 years after being told that people are more likely to donate money to an identifiable victim than when presented with general information. Is why foreign aid is key. It can kickstart a virtuous cycle by helping poor countries invest in these critical areas and make them more productive. The resulting higher incomes will generate further investments. The beneficial spiral will continue. In his best-selling 2005 book, The End of Poverty, Sachs argues that if the rich world had committed $195 billion in foreign aid per year between 2005 and 2025, poverty could have been eliminated by the end of this period. 4. But then there are others, equally vocal, who believe that all of Sachs's answers are wrong. William Easterly, who battles Sachs from New York University at the other end of Manhattan, has become one of the most influential anti-aid public figures following the publication of 2 books, The Elusive Quest for Growth and The White Man's Burden. Dambisa, an economist who previously worked at Goldman Sachs and the World Bank, have joined her voice to Easterly's with her recent book, Dead Aid. Both argue that aid does more bad than good. It prevents people from searching for their solutions while corrupting and undermining local institutions and creating a perpetuating lobby of aid agencies. The best bet for poor countries are to rely on one simple idea: when markets are free and the incentives are right, people can find ways to solve their problems. They do not need handouts from foreigners or from their governments. In this sense, the aid pessimists are quite optimistic about the way the world works. According to Easterly, there are no such things as poverty traps. Whom should we believe, those who tell us that aid can solve the problem, or those who say that it makes things worse? The debate cannot be solved in the abstract. We need evidence. But unfortunately, the kind of data usually used to answer the big questions does not inspire confidence. There is never a shortage of compelling anecdotes, and it is always possible to find at least one to support any position. Rwanda, for example, received a lot of aid money in the years immediately after the genocide and prospered. Now that the economy is thriving, President Paul Kagame has started to wean the country of aid. Should we count Rwanda as an example of the good that aid can do, as Sachs suggests, or as a poster child for self-reliance as presents it, or both? Because individual examples like Rwanda cannot be pinned down, most researchers trying to answer the big philosophical questions prefer multi-country comparisons. For example, the data on a couple of hundred countries in the world show that those who received more aid did not grow faster than the rest. This is often interpreted as evidence that aid does not work, but in fact, it could also mean the opposite. Perhaps the aid helped them avoid a major disaster, and things would have been much worse without it. We simply do not know. We are just speculating on a grand scale.